Hey guys, Richard Rigor here, and today I want to talk to you about conditioning. A lot of times I say, hey, we got to get better at our conditioning. What do I mean by conditioning? I basically mean what type of power you can sustain for a certain duration, your maximum sustainable power output for a duration. Now, obviously the higher the output, the shorter the duration. Sprints. When you're going for an all-out sprint, you have a high output, but then the duration, you're done in 10 seconds or so for a 100-meter sprint. Now, when we're talking about something, marathon type of distance running, where you are at a lower output, but for longer duration, it could look something like this. You're kind of hanging out right here, staying low, but you can sustain it for quite the duration. As far as conditioning goes, if we have two athletes, the better conditioned athletes could have a higher output while maintaining that or shooting for that same duration that you are. So oftentimes when we see athletes at different levels of conditioning, it's really the power output that they could sustain over time is longer than their peer. Okay? So conditioning is pretty much what can you sustain for a certain duration. Now with CrossFit, we have different models here, but with CrossFit, we're not all doing a long duration, constant type of workout. With CrossFit, we may have high power outputs coupled with a low power output, back up high, back up low, up and down for a certain duration. Then you'll see when people, if they're not as conditioned as other athletes, their duration is short. They could have high power output, but then for a shorter duration. The athlete who is conditioned even more so can, versus his peer, sustain this higher output up and down for longer periods of time. Okay? So conditioning, whenever we talk about that, is sustainable power output. What can you sustain for a certain duration? We're going to go over training techniques to increase your conditioning.